Did you have to do a service, Army service?
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah. Well, that's really what broke up the big band, you know.
Yeah, I got a little ahead of myself there. I want to hear about the band before the service.
Yeah, I fooled around and got delinquent, you know. What I wanted to do, I figured, I says, well, we're on the road traveling, so I'll either go in when we get back to New York, I'll go in from New York, or either go in when we get to the coast, West Coast. And so I wrote them and told them that send my papers to New York and I would take my exam there. So they missed me. They missed me in New York. Then by the time I got to the West Coast, I wrote them back again and asked them to send them out there. And the papers came about a day or two after I had left the West Coast, coming back this way. So they caught up with me in Kansas City. And they took me off the bandstand, took me over to Leavenworth.
They don't fool around with that, didn't they?
No, they didn't fool around. The guy told me, he says, he was real nice at first. We took intermission, you know. And we took intermission, and he says, we've got some important business we got to talk to you. There's two of them. We'd appreciate it if you'd finish everything you got to do so we can get to this business. So, you know, I kept fooling around. So they came back to me and says, look, I'll tell you something. Says, we don't want to upset you or nothing, but here's these papers we've got. Read these papers. These papers got two red eyes on them. He says, and that means immediate induction. So when I read it, I said, they said, that means we got to take you back with us tonight to Leavenworth, which is about 30 miles from Kansas City. So I says, now what do you have to do? I said, well, I've got to try to get somebody in my place to finish the job tonight. But so luckily, George Salisbury, a piano player, was there in his dressing room. So I called George over, so George finished the gig that night for me. And I went on with them to Leavenworth. And the next morning, when a guy looked at my paper, he says, "You in the Army?" He said, "Welcome." Jeez. I said, "I hope you don't mean that." He said, "Yes, I do." He said, "There it is."
Oh, wow.
He said, "Immediate induction."